All right. Well, let's get to an interesting opinion segment.
Sir, if I may venture an opinion.
I'm not really interested in your opinion, 3PO.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
All right. So with all this stuff happening and just the poor performances left and right, even against some of these lesser teams, I have to ask you guys' opinion. Is the SEC slipping out of power? Like, and I'm not just trying to, be that guy, devil's advocate. Like our out of conference record has been miserable so far. We've even struggled with lesser teams, as I mentioned. Is the rest of the country closing in to end the SEC's dominance? Jesse, let's start with you first. What's your opinion?
I think there's a couple things that contribute to this. And I think it's obviously the SEC in the past couple of years, super dominant. We talk about how many, 15 out of 22 national championships have been SEC teams. But I think when it comes to us, maybe slipping out of power, I don't want to say, but maybe other teams stepping up to a similar level of competition and play. I think first, we're starting to see the effects of NIL. You're starting to see other schools that have the ability to offer athletes this kind of, money that they're going there. Our recruiting is probably suffering just a little bit because there are other factors outside of the level of competition that are pulling people to other schools. I think the other thing is the transfer portal. You're going to hear it a lot. We take advantage of the transfer portal for sure, but other teams do as well. And the ability for kids to go and play at different schools, again, that's going to make them able to rise up to our level of competition. I think maybe the other thing is, I don't even know, is there another thing? Yeah, I think those are probably the two biggest things are going to be NIL and transfer portal that are going to make us have a similar level of competition to other universities. Because right now, and that could be completely wrong, right? It could be something that I don't even know. It could be that maybe we're just not doing what we need to do. It could be that we've gotten too big for our britches and the other schools want to make sure that they know, hey, it doesn't matter that we don't play in the SEC. We're a powerhouse too. So chips on your shoulder, transfer portal, NIL, I think they're all factors.
Okay. Matt, your opinion?
I think it's too early to say that we're out of the loop completely, because when you look at how the SEC has dominated matchups within the last 20 years, the SEC has been the preeminent conference in college football. I think that goes bar none. Top to bottom, we've had a better number of wins, better programs, more national championships, what have you. I think top to bottom, the SEC is still the best conference. I agree with Jesse. I think there's a little bit more parity now, and I think NIL has something to do with that. I think the transfer portal has a lot to do with that. And I think it's just a question of the have-nots are catching up with the haves, maybe. When you look at especially the storied programs of the SEC, Bama's having a rough year so far. Auburn's coming off a little bit of a wishy-washy period. Texas A&M struggled last year. They're looking a little bit better this year. But when you look at like the big programs, like all of them look vulnerable. Even Georgia has looked vulnerable in the last couple of weeks. No one's untouchable, apparently. I was talking to a buddy of mine, and he was like, this feels like 2007 all over again. I don't remember if y'all remember 2007. But everybody and their mother, there were upsets every other week, it seemed like. We're a big program. Yeah, I think that was the same year that Michigan lost to Appalachian State in the Big House. Like it's feeling a lot like that this season, and I think that the way the SEC's kind of stumbled out of the gate has only reinforced that idea. Now, does that mean we're done? I don't think so. We won't really have a good understanding of that until we get to bowl season and we see, after these teams have become finished products, how they stack up against those other conference champions. And, if God forbid the SEC doesn't make the playoff, I don't know what that's going to look like. It's chaos and it's parity. But I wouldn't call it us slipping out of power quite yet.
Yeah.
If this happens a couple years in a row, then sure. Yeah, I would say that the parity's finally caught up and we have to worry about everybody else. But we're getting a bit of a shot in the arm apparently with Texas and Oklahoma coming over next year. So
Yeah.
who knows?
Well, I feel
don't
like
know that bowl games even are a good indicator because of all the people that sit out.
for sure,
So
100%.
You're probably right.
Yeah, so many of these guys from power schools know they have a shot in the NFL. They don't want to play. You know,
Yeah.
like maybe
I
in
think-
some of the smaller schools, they do want to play because they know that they may not get a chance to go. So it's their last game of the season. Why not?
I
Yeah,
think when we finally get to the extended playoff, we're gonna have a better understanding of where we stack up compared to everybody else.
It's right now bowl games outside of the playoff games. Like you said, you can't really judge based on that. But yeah, I think the proof is in the pudding, as they say, and the pudding in this instance is playoffs and championships. And so to that end, we're not there yet. We don't really know. I mean, the SEC has consistently put teams in both. I think that certainly the gap has closed, and there's evidence of that this year, more so than years that I can think of in the past. I would say that yes, the rest of the country is closing on the SEC. Have we slipped out of power? I'm not ready to say that yet, but it's close, and we'll see how the playoffs pan out. So,
well, you have these guys that are 5-star recruits, 4-star recruits, and maybe they don't want to sit a year. They get somewhere and they realize I don't want to sit, or I don't want to do something. I'm not gelling with this coach. They can just go to another program and start look at Bo Nix.
100%.
I mean,
There's less
look
hoarding of
look
talent.
At, DJ Ogievala, or I forget. I'm sorry, but his name. He's having a heck of a thank you. He's having a heck of a year after he left Clemson. Look at Clemson. Clemson's a hot mess right now.
Yeah.
It just goes to show that sometimes, these big programs, they do get a 5-star recruit, but it doesn't work out. The culture is not there, or they're not getting the playing time that they want, and another school's going to offer it to them. They still get free school. Yeah, they're going to go start somewhere.
And if you think about it, like you said, that contributes to the parity, because the talent is spread around instead of, like I said earlier, being hoarded by these teams that recruit well.
Or all of a sudden your university says, hey, Deion Sanders, I can't afford to pay you all of that money right now, but it will come. You get Deion Sanders and his son, and then he walks out with Lil Wayne and Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Well,
and all of a sudden your program is on national TV when nobody cared before.